Hey guys, welcome to the 10th podcast of the YTCA. I know we didn't have a podcast last week, but we just wish that you guys had a nice spring break. If you guys are celebrating spring break, um, well, I guess I hope you guys had a restful week, had a nice week with your family or whatever you did. Hope that things are going well for you. And so today, of course, my name is Nick.
I'm Thea.
I'm Ezra.
And if this is your first time, welcome. And just as always, check out our Instagram down below. We also have our website, which we will update weekly on different kinds of nice resources and things you can get contact with us and things like that. All right. So just make yourself at home and grab a nice cup of drink or whatever and just sit back and we'll get started today. So today we're going to talk about something crucial, and when I say crucial, it's very crucial. Well, I guess it's time to get started, huh?
Especially after like spring break.
Oh yeah. Wait, sorry, what?
Especially after spring break.
Yeah, I guess it's time to get started because we're talking about time management, huh?
Right. Ha ha ha.
Sorry guys. But yeah, I think it's important. We're talking about time management this week. All right. So I guess for those of you guys who have celebrated spring break, you know that it's hard, right? For some of us to kind of organize our time periods, right, over spring break. It's like since you have a long extended period of rest days, right, it's hard to kind of force yourself to do work. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think it was kind of hard for me anyways, because I for one, it was just like oh yeah, no, one more YouTube video, man, just like come on, just give me a break here. And then one YouTube video will spiral down to I don't know how many, and time will be wasted. So I mean, I don't know. How were your spring breaks though? To be honest,
they were nice. I think definitely I agree with you. During spring break, it was hard to maintain productivity, especially because it is a time for you to rest and to rejuvenate yourself. But even right now, after taking those break days off, now coming back to school, it's very hard for me to be like, okay, I gotta get to work. I gotta actually do things. And so I think that, it's definitely difficult to get back into the flow of spring break. It kind of correlates with our other topics of procrastination and motivation, but yeah.
As for me, I actually was kind of productive. I managed to do some SAT studying and AP exam stuff. So it was pretty productive. Now, I'm kind of a workaholic, so I'm like the exception. Like if I play video games for too long, my brain feels so dead. I feel so meaningless that I have to do something that day in order for it to be worth it. I think one thing that's really helped me is setting working before I play. I actually play 2 musical instruments, and I have a policy that I have to play my musical instruments first before I play video games. And along with that, I have to do, the work I have to do that day. Well, the work I assign myself. So yeah, that was pretty much my schedule. I would in the morning, I would play 2 musical instruments, do my work. And then, in the afternoon and at, noon, well, that's the same thing. I would, play video games. So it was pretty productive. One thing that's really helped me is setting an alarm. I have an alarm for actually Mandarin writing because I've been slacking off on that because during online school, you don't have to write Mandarin. You just have to type Mandarin in. You have to type the pinyin. That, for those of you who don't know pinyin, it's the words that's used to form the characters, the syllables. So yeah, I've been slacking off on that. So that's kind of bad because I may be evaluating in the future on, writing Chinese characters. So yeah, that was my spring break.
Nice. I think honestly, last week, I think one of my priorities was, to kind of strike this balance, right, between rest and work, right? You can't just work too much. You can't rest too much, right? I mean, we already talked about, ideas of procrastination before, right? That's just resting too much. We talked about, sometimes, about taking breaks, because, well, if you work yourself too hard, you're going to burn out. And we did talk about burnouts, right? It sometimes result of working too hard. And so I think that's important here to for me. I think last week anyways, what I tried to do was, I try to plan out my day because I like things to be done methodically. That's just how I like things to be done. It sometimes it works for me, right? Because what I think what everyone has to realize is that different things works for you. We're just talking about ourselves. We're just suggesting things that might work for us, but keep in mind it might not work for you, and that is fine because people learn and people kind of adapt under certain different circumstances. So yeah, for me, anyways, speaking of methodical, right? I basically kind of plan out my day, right? Basically, like I basically have a semi-loose timetable, right? Basically, like, hey, this has to from this time to this time, or around from this time to this time, this has to be done, right? From this time to this time, I will have to do this, right? And I kind of and then like in the beginning, that really helps me to set my rhythm into how I want to live, right? How I want to be, living each day productively, right? And then in the end, what happens is I don't really even have to look at it anymore. It just kind of ingrained inside of me. I just do it. I just, for example, I don't know. Every day I exercise at 5 o'clock, and I've never thought about it, and my body just moves by itself at this point. I'll go downstairs and I'll go exercise, whether running or whatever, right? It doesn't matter. My body will do that because, well, I'm building up the habit, right? So I think a good thing about I think time management is building up that habit, right? If you just time manage for a single day, that's great, but you should keep it going, right? You don't want to just be productive for a single day because, well, I think that's self-explanatory. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I think similarly in the sense where like I try to set goals and I try to make sure I like for this time range I want to be working. I think that one of the things that helps me to like focus and one of the things that helps me to kind of get into the rhythm of working is like kind of making sure that like I know like what I need to do and like having a good understanding of how much time I have and how much time I don't have. Because a lot of the times, like the amount of work you can have changes. So you don't have like a set amount of work each day. It can vary, right? Especially if you like go to Granada where we have A and B day or block schedule days where classes go A and B. Um, so the amount of work I have per day changes. So in order to kind of maintain maybe a more loose sense of what Nick was talking about, setting like oh this time like at 5 o'clock I'll be working out. Instead of doing something like that, I will more like say okay, so I have about like say 3 hours of work today. That's a blessing, but we'll say 3 hours of work. Um, and I'll be like, okay, if I have 3 hours of work left and I have 5 hours until say a general time of when I want to go to sleep, like 10 or 11 o'clock, like then um I will kind of set goals like, okay, let's then get this done in the next hour, maybe take some break and then go back at it. Um, that kind of helps me maintain a good work and relaxation balance because um, I'm understanding how much time I have. I'm not getting stressed about it. If like, especially when I start doing work, when I have a little excess time, it allows me to work like not under pressure. I can go at my own pace. And if I have spare time or like if I feel like, hey, I'm getting this done pretty fast, then I can take a break in the middle because I know that like, um, you know, balancing life and work is an important aspect to healthy mindsets.
I think. Wait, what do you think, Theo?
Yeah, that everything you've said so far is really good. One thing that I also find helpful is to keep a planner of like what to do during the day. I have a planner for like all the assignments I have to do. I have like a mental planner for like the stuff that's not related to school. And, as I've said earlier, setting an alarm to do something is actually pretty helpful because, like, when you hear the ring, you're kind of obligated to turn that off and then, do the thing that you're supposed to do. It's like a really great reminder, so you can, maybe it's an alarm for work or like, something like that. And then you can immediately get back to work because you hear the alarm ringing and like I have to go back to work. It's not like I can watch one more YouTube video because like if you do a mental reminder, sometimes that's not as effective because like you can put it off, like procrastination and all that. So yeah.
I think I do have something to confess. Honestly, I think most 90. I think 90% of my time I manage pretty well, except the time I'm going to sleep because well, yeah, I usually says, oh yeah, I want to go to sleep early. I do not go to sleep that early. It's always because I'll just like I'm just gonna like after I'm done with everything. I just want to cool down. Just have some relaxing time, and that time becomes too long. And yeah, that's honestly the one thing that I haven't been managing well in my life is just when I'm going to sleep. But honestly, I think I need to kind of rework, right, my table, right, rework the way I'm scheduling everything, right, to kind of push everything forward, to rearrange some stuff, right, so that everything will be a workout. But kind of, I think the main idea, right, is kind of the balance, right, balancing everything. Right? If you don't balance it, it's hard for you to manage your own time. But yeah, um, but speaking of balancing, you have to, in order to balance things, right? You have to know what are you doing specifically on each side, right? What are you doing specifically for your work, and what you're specifically doing for resting, right? So, speaking of resting, I know we talked about this in the when we talked about procrastination, right? But do you guys have any big time wasters, and how would you guys manage it?
I guess I'll go. Do you want to go answer?
No, you can go.
Okay. Big time wasters. I mean, since I don't really procrastinate that much, I don't really have a big time waster. But before, I have to say that would be YouTube because the way it's set up, like the next video plays after you're done with the first one. And then, there's all these things on the side that look really, I guess it's like clickbait in a way. So yeah, I guess YouTube would be one. I actually don't have a social media account, but I've heard from people that that can get pretty addicting. Not to say that social media is bad at all. Like I think it's a pretty good thing, right? But if you do it too much, like it could be potentially bad, in my opinion.
Hmm. I like what you said about like how it can spiral out of control with your time wasters, especially for like YouTube and social media, like the websites and like the, the YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and all those things are designed so that like you spend more time on them. Like everything about their design, everything about it is made to appeal to the user, right? And so it is very easy to fall into that kind of time wasting habit. Like in a sense where like it's not the same as like you saying you waste a lot of time maybe exercising. Like that's kind of different. At least like you're kind of doing something productive, and exercising, at least in my opinion, is a great way to it's not really considered work. It's a way of kind of relaxation, but also like productive, um, productive like management of your body and your health, right? So like doing something like that, I wouldn't consider a time waster. But like YouTube and social media, while it is good to engage with the world and while it is good to take breaks and like relax and whatnot, those I would say are less productive and therefore would consider them time wasters. Um, yeah, and I think that because they're designed to keep you on them, because they're designed to make you click or make you stay on there for another 5 minutes, another 10 minutes, however long you may spend. Um, it's getting increasingly harder to manage time. I know for myself, like YouTube is a big one, and I have to like put like actual like restrictions just to make sure I don't waste so much time on YouTube.
Yeah, I think it's for me. A lot of the time is making excuses, kind of giving yourself excuses, being too lenient to yourself, right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm fine, I'm only gonna do one video, right? Like, look at this homework, it's nothing, right? You're trying to make yourself feel better, right? By kind of pushing this work off, right? By wasting your time, right? You're trying to make yourself feel better. But I don't know if you guys had this experience before, but it's like, let's just say, I don't know, you have an essay that's due tomorrow, and you're like, hey, I have to finish this essay tonight, right? But you're just like, oh, I want to watch one YouTube video because YouTube is addicting, right? And you're watching this YouTube video, but your heart is racing and your whole mind is very anxious. You're not really enjoying the YouTube video right now, but at the same time, you want to watch it. I don't know if you guys had that kind of experience before. I don't know. It's really hard to describe. It's like you're doing something fun that you're supposed to enjoy, but you're not really enjoying it, but your mind is on the essay. Like your mind is like, oh yeah, I have to do the essay. Well, you're trying to force yourself to enjoy something else. Has that ever happened? Or is that just me?
Yeah, I think that applies to me. Although I haven't really had that experience where the things to do the next day and I haven't started. Usually I start on things like, a couple of days before they're due. But, when it comes to like really big assignments, like science projects, like for some reason I have this really big anxiety thing. And when I do the things I like it, the pleasures like diminish with the anticipation of, oh, I need to like, finish that science project, or, I have to finish that essay. So because of that, anxiety, usually I try to do things, as quickly and as, best quality as possible, because like it makes me feel better. I can't like procrastinate, because if I do, I know that I'll feel bad. Like, even though that, if you do well after you procrastinate, like you can say, wow, look at how good I am. I finished this assignment and got a good grade within like, 2 hours. Although that may be good, if it's the opposite, like, I did really bad and like, and I procrastinate. I mean, you could justify yourself like, oh, because I had this much time, it was okay for me to do bad. But I kind of think of the opposite way. I'm like, because I, didn't pace myself, I did bad. So that kind of ties with time management. Like if you time manage, you'll feel, a lot better. Like I think you can do your things, you can have more time in your life. Like, if you don't time manage, like you probably will waste time, procrastinating and like, doing those big time wasters we mentioned, right? Like spending a lot of time on that. So yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think this is kind of something I was actually thinking over for like over the spring break, and it's kind of the idea that, at least for me, and I feel like for a lot of maybe higher academically achieving students, we almost feel like success is a given, that we kind of take success for granted, that like, oh, we can put in this amount of effort and we'll get like this grade, right? Or this achievement. It doesn't even have to be academics, it can be anything. But we feel like success is a given. And a lot of the times it's not, right? Or at least it shouldn't be that way, you know, because you can't get into the mindset of thinking that you can't take success for granted, because if you do, then you are going to fall into the idea of being dependent on success as a part of your identity and a part of your security. And I think one of the things that you have to realize is that success comes from those who work hard. Success is something that you work for, right? And is not always something that you get because you work hard for it, but does come from the times when people do work hard, right? Because somebody can work really hard and still not get, like, say, the job they want, right? And that's okay, because, at the end of the day, at least from the Christian perspective, it's not so much the results that matter. We're not called to become millionaires in order to be successful Christians or anything like that. We're not called to convert 1,000 people or anything like that. It's not the results that matter. It's about the effort, the heart, the spirit, right? The efforts that you put into it are what's important, right? And so seeing success as kind of more of a certain almost byproduct of the effort and the hard work you put in, I feel like is a very good motivator for making a more successful time managed life, because it really gets rid of that kind of mindset of, oh, I can put this off till later, or I can relax right now, I can make excuses. Because when you have the feeling that you need to work hard and you need to put in your best effort rather than I need to just succeed, that kind of swaps the mindset into, okay, let's get this done, let's do this, at least in my experience.
Yeah. I think Ezra definitely have to agree with you. You know, I guess the you know what the old saying said, you know, the higher you fly, the higher you fall, right? Basically, people as a you know, in order to better time manage, you have to accept the fact that you will fall. You'll fall probably more than you'll ever succeed. And you know what? That's natural. You know, if you're kind of stuck in this mindset of, oh yeah, my life will just be success after success, right? No matter how much you try to micromanage, no matter how hard you try, you will fail, right? Because well, that's just part of life. You're not good at everything, right? There are, you know, and you know what? I'm sorry to say this, but a big part of life is also luck, right? Not everything is just basically I get 100, I move on, right? A lot of part is just, you know, random arbitrary factors that you cannot control. And yes, better luck next time sometimes, right? Like, I mean, yes, that's just normal. So yeah, I think what's really important here is I think I really do agree with you, Ezra, like to understand that, you know, success is earned, right? Not given. You don't get success, you earn success, right? You have to work your way there. And I think it's the same with time management, right? You don't just suddenly get good at it, right? No one says, boom, I'm good at time management. You don't read a book. Right? You don't just listen to our podcast and you get good at it. Of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't be listening to our podcast. I'm just saying you don't just get good all of a sudden. What you really have to do is, I think this is probably the most important advice I can give to anyone. Practice. Practice managing your time, right? You gotta, first of all, you gotta know that you gotta want to do it. You gotta want to manage your time better, right? And then you practice. You set this into motion, right? Small things. Managing in the beginning, things might go wrong, but that's how you learn, right? As you practice more, as you know how to manage your time better, right, you'll be able to kind of reap its rewards, right? And be able to kind of have more control of your life. And yeah, I think so. That's what I would say. Practice, put it into motion. You know, don't just listen to some three guys from high school talk about it. Don't listen to some guy in a book. Don't listen to a guy in a podcast. Actually do it. Yeah, that's what I think.
On the same token, other than practice, I think another good thing is accountability. Like have people keep you in check, maybe even your parents, although maybe your parents will be too annoying about it. So maybe like, you know, a close friend, like, hey, how about, you know, are you doing your work right now? Or like something like that. And then, you know, maybe you'll be like, oh, wow, I need to do my work. So, you know, let me get to it. So yeah, I mean, I really don't have an accountability system, but you know, it may be good if I have one. Like I can really see, you know, the benefits that come with having one.
That's actually a great idea. I feel like accountability is so powerful when you feel almost like you have a sense of responsibility, not just for yourself, because you're kind of used to that, but for like, I guess, living up to kind of expectation that you put yourself to that someone else is keeping track of. Um, it can be effective. I won't say that it is always a good idea because, especially if it's not handled correctly, it can be very toxic. Like, say you have like a helicopter parent who like is micromanaging every part of your life. Like that's not good. But I think on occasion, like if you see like a friend, or even if yourself, if you feel like you're not working very hard, you're getting distracted often, saying something about it or having your friend tell you that like, hey, are you working? Like, do you need help? I think that's a great way to motivate you to work and a great way to kind of remind yourself, especially in the middle of the day, that, hey, yeah, like I need to be working. Like, this isn't something that I can be slacking off on.
Yeah, as we said, like kind of creating bonds video, right? Having good friends really help. You know, with all the mental issues we talked about, having a friend really helps to talk about it, right? Be honest with them, like, hey, I'm really kind of struggling with managing my time, or like hey, I can't, I've been really falling behind my homework, or whatever, right? And just be like, can you just I don't know, call me, right? Or like I don't know, hop on like a Discord or Zoom or whatever app that you use, right? Just work with me, right? We'll just work together, right? Share your screen, tell them what you're doing, get held accountable, right? But you have to be the one who initiates it, right? You can't really be the one who is receiving, right? You can't really be the one who just sits there and expects someone else to kind of just call you up and like, hey, do you need help managing your time? Because if you don't tell them, they'll never know, right? So I think it's important here to kind of first of all realize that you need help and don't be shy to ask. I'm sure your real friends, your good friends, they will be more than happy to kind of help you with your problems because that's what friends are for, right? They help each other in their time of need, right? Friends are there at their best and friends are there at the worst. And that's what I think true friends are. So yeah. And I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
I guess on that note, just saying like, not plugging, not shamelessly plugging at least, but if you guys need people to talk to, if you guys need people to keep you accountable, we have our support group that you can always
Yeah.
come to on Sundays, or and we just join our Discord or whatever social media platform you want, and we can help you just make connections with people, make friends, like Nick said, true friends, and be able to just have a good time, have a more solid relationship, and manage your time better.
Yeah. You know what? I think that does it, I think, for this week's podcast. Thank you guys for listening again. You guys can find all the resources like Instagram, our website down in the link below. And yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed today's, that, it was, it talks about time. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's time to start. And yeah, but I think, thank you guys for coming today again. We hope to see you guys next Tuesday. And we hope to see you this Sunday if you want to come to our small group meeting. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.